My two favorites so far was the Ace Ventura one and your first episode, the Dust Up
That's
one.
that's everyone's
Dust Up
favorite. Like the
one
dust
was,
up.
oh my God,
Yeah, dust up is
I
a lot of
couldn't
people's
stop
favorites.
laughing. So we are now live on YouTube for our 85th episode.
Yeah.
Things are a little different now. It is just me hosting the show. Um, Instagram has a shadow ban on our page. So if you're not able to see us on the feed, please turn on your notifications or whatever it is.
Mm.
Follow Justin's page, follow my personal page, stay updated on things. Today's guest is a crossover episode. Is Nobody
Yes.
Watches Everything, the podcast, starring Rick Matthews, who couldn't be here today because he's for clause. We'll get into that.
Yeah, he said he was so sad that he had to watch it for nothing.
And Clayton Williams, ladies and gentlemen. Clayton Williams.
What's up, everybody? How's it going?
First off, are you safe? Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm safe.
Wink
I'm good.
if you need assistance. I know Jen has been forcing you to wear that wig, man.
I mean, I'm gonna keep it quiet. Like she's in the back. Yeah, I'm good.
It's all right, man. You look great bald, bro.
Thank you. That's what a lot of people say. Like I should just keep it natural. Like walk around with my natural hair, but I got appearances to make. So
I
put
guess
the
being a
wig back
stand-up
on.
comic, is it hard being bald and being a stand-up comic? Is that you
Yeah.
don't get gigs, man?
No, man, because then I look too much like Steve Harvey and they get mad when I show up and I'm not. They thought I was going to family feud with everybody. And then, so I'm like, all right, let me put the wig back on.
Damn. I noticed you're wearing a Buffalo Bills sweatshirt.
Yeah.
Big time shout out to the Buffalo Bills doing their
They're killing it
damn
right
thing
now.
this season.
Woo.
What is it,
Oh,
10 and 3? Is it 10 and
Yeah,
3?
10-3. Murdering folks. Just
So I'm a Giants fan, but I am adjacent to or a fan of the Bills. That's like my AFC side. So
I got you.
if the Bills go far, I'll cheer them on. If the Jets make it into the playoffs, I'll be like, oh, fuck the Jets. Whoever's playing the Jets,
Yeah.
that's what I'm cheering for.
Yeah, fuck the Jets.
I mean, it's got to feel good, man. No, the Patriots aren't that great.
Oh, it's like
Miami's terrible.
I hated it that this is the year.
Jets
Like
are god awful.
Jets are. I swear to God, if the Jets win one game, I'm gonna be mad. Like because, like, because y'all are losing. Like the Jets are losing so bad that like it will be like an achievement to continue just never winning a game. Like just don't try. Like
how do you get rid of Jamal Adams and Le'Veon Bell?
they making. I don't know.
And
People
then
make some stupid ass decisions.
Bell goes to the Chiefs. So, like, thank you if I'm the Chiefs. Gave me one of the greatest running backs in the game. But I digress. Welcome back to the show, my brother. It's good to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me back, man. This is
season 5, episode 1 was one of our most streamed episodes that season, by the way. So you got some star power, bro. I don't know what it is, man. And we had some heavy hitters on that season. We had Jesse Terrero, we had Chicklets, but we had a UFC fighter apparently. Clayton Williams is that guy, man.
It's the smile, it's the wig. It's the world famous wig.
So let me ask you, when we met, we were talking about podcasts, the one that you do and this one. At July 4th barbecue, I think like it was 2018 or 2017.
Yeah, it was 2018. Yeah.
2018. So it was Justin was grilling the burgers.
Yep.
talk to me about your podcast, because I think it's one of the most interesting and funny, simple things to do, and it's just.
Yeah, so Rick and I, who can't be here, R.I.P. Rick, even though he's not dead. Hope he's sleeping well.
Wow.
So we both love watching movies, and there's all these different movie podcasts. Everyone has like a movie podcast, but we always thought it would be like cool if we just picked a randomizer and it chose the movie we watch? Because everyone always gets like, when you have a choice for the movie, you're going to be thinking like, oh, this is going to be a good movie and we can talk about, like, not knowing what the movie is and then being forced to have to talk about that movie is like the best thing. Because one, you get to see a lot of shit that you never thought you would see. And then you get to see a lot of shit you never thought you would see or didn't even know existed like this. So it's a lot of fun. It's just fun being like, what the fuck is this movie? I don't even know where this came from. It's nonsense. So we just found a randomizer, and then we have all the streaming services, so we can find just the most random ass movies possible.
Now, I'm imagining, I mean, you guys might not be there yet, or you don't want to do this just yet, but eventually you'll start taking suggestions, or would you just stick to the randomizer?
So if someone suggests something like real good, we'll definitely do it. Like, I have no problem with that, especially since, again, it's not us choosing it. So it's kind of random too. So if someone just puts it out there that they want to see us talk about a movie, we'll do it definitely, because suggestions and like not knowing what the movie's going to be, like sometimes, like if you just send us an email, don't say what the movie is in the email, we open it up, that's the movie we gotta watch. I think that'd be fun as shit. Just be caught off guard.
So I went through the process with you guys. Again, I think it's pretty cool because you don't get to pick the film. And we'll talk about some of the films you've already watched. The film that we got was Fred Claus. Now, the reason why it was a Christmas film is because I said, for the purposes of this crossover pod, I said, let's do something Christmassy. Yeah. I was kind of hoping we would get like something really old that none of us had seen before.
Right.
But then we got Fred Claus, and I was like, oh, Vince Vaughn. I love Vince Vaughn. I think, this will be great. Stay tuned for that later. But let's talk about some of the movies you already watched.
All right.
Let's go with Dust Up first. What the hell is Dust Up? The cover looks pretty cool.
All right, so I think the cover is the best thing about that movie. Like, honestly, like I feel like all the money they spent was on getting that cover to look like it's a real movie, and then you watch Dust Up is like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, it's like a fever dream where like someone has to fight like a cannibal military dude who runs a fucking drug lab in the desert or something. The shit doesn't make any sense. Like, I watched it, I still can't believe I saw it. Like, none of this shit makes any sense, and I still get people bringing it up like, yo, I had to watch Dust Up after you guys talked about it. And I'm like, yeah, because no matter what we say about that movie, there's always something fucking crazy that happens in it that you forgot. And you're just like, that's how many crazy things happen where it's just like, oh yeah, the dude jerked off the guy till he died. And then you're like, oh, I didn't even remember that because the other dude just ate someone's face. And you're like, see, what the fuck is that? Like, this shit it's next level stupid.
So it says it's a documentary officially. It got a 4.9 out of 10 in IMDb. Like I said, the cover looks cool. It looks like some Mad Max type of cover.
It is.
And then I heard your episode, and most of the cast is actually on, what is it? Agents of
S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah.
And one of the guys is actually a producer on that show. So
that's the weird thing about it. Like, we couldn't believe how many people who have real jobs worked on this movie. Like,
I don't recognize anybody in the cast though.
I don't recognize the black dude, and he was in like an episode of Seinfeld.
Jeremiah Burkett.
Yeah.
So I have to watch this film. I haven't seen it yet because of that episode. I know I'm not gonna enjoy it, but I will be laughing because I'm gonna be going back and forth with what you guys said. Honor and Glory, what's that?
Honor Glory is like a movie from the 90s. It was like a kung fu movie. It's weird. It's so weird because it's like, all right, so you know how musicals just have random songs happening, like people just start singing out of nowhere. That's what Honor and Glory is. It's just a random ass fight happening out of nowhere all the time. Everyone knows karate, and that shit doesn't make any sense. Like it's about a reporter. She's having like one of the opening scenes of the movie is like people just making copies and then start doing karate. And you're just like, the fuck y'all doing karate? And they're like, all right, I'll see you at dinner. And like, all right. Like we don't even know what's happening. We don't know names. Y'all just starting fighting. All right. Yeah, it's a weird movie. Like I've seen a couple movies. Like the star of it is this lady named Cynthia Rothrock, who looks like a divorced mom, and she has a lot of like old kung fu movies.
Oh,
from, like,
Robin Shaw's in it.
Yeah, from Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, he's in it. Okay. I mean, it's got a 5.8. It did better than Dust Up.
It did. I feel like more people saw it because of Liu Kang being in it.
An FBI agent, Cynthia Rothrock, leads a martial arts rescue of her father, who is kidnapped by a covert nuclear device.
Yeah.
Wow.
None of that shit. Like, spoiler alert: Cynthia Rothrock is like the star of the movie. She's barely in the movie.
Wow.
Like that's how weird. Like where they sold that movie on her, and she's not even like famous like that. Like.
Wow. I mean, it came out in 93, so
yeah,
the internet wasn't alive.
yeah.
Now, one of the movies you guys have watched, which a lot of people are familiar with, besides Indiana Jones, is Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls. The second.
Yep. Part 2.
I'm a big Jim Carrey fan. I have to be honest with you. I've probably watched everything that Jim's been in.
Yeah.
Once Bitten, all to whatever is now.
Earth Girls Are Easy. Yeah.
So I loved When Nature Calls. There's a lot of the scenes that you mentioned on the episode that I thought were hilarious. But then when you give your point of view of watching the movie as an adult, because I hadn't seen it over 10 years, I think.
Right.
I've seen the first one actually a couple months ago.
Yeah, that comes on all the time. Like that one's always on TV. So I've seen the first one a bunch recently.
But When Nature Calls, I hadn't seen in a while. I heard the episode, and I usually, like, after I listen to one of you guys' episodes, I want to go back and try to watch them, but I can't do it now.
Oh,
I can't do it because I'm afraid I'm going to find other things that are wrong with it.
That's the hardest part
about the movie, man.
So when I was a kid, like, because growing up, you quoted Jim Carrey movies. Like he was like on a roll. You always quoted Jim Carrey movies. Everyone like Dumb and Dumber, all this kind of stuff. Like you always did it, and just getting in, I'm like, you remember it in your mind. You're like, yo, this shit was so funny. Like Bumblebee Tuna, funniest shit in the world. Like, yeah. And it's like, yo, this is gonna be great. I'm excited. This is a movie I loved. And then you realize how like awful he is to people. Like he's such an asshole. Like it's like I never like you can see he's like a dick to people in the first movie, but it's like those people deserve it. He's literally like just shitting on people the entire movie that have nothing to do with anything. And it's like high-key racist. Because he's just like fucking with these like tribes and like this shit is just like, yo, I didn't remember this being this fucked up. Like, I remember it being funny, and then him fighting Tommy Davidson, and then like he coming out of the rhino's ass and stuff, and it was like, yo, these are the classics. And then you're like, yo, what the fuck is it? Like, yo, Ace is a dick, man. Like, I can't even front, and it bums me out because it's like, damn, like that's the hardest part about some of these. It's like hoping that we don't get any more like childhood comedies.
Yeah.
That just because you're just like, man, as an adult, things that you used to think were funny are like different. Like, I don't like seeing people be like super mean to people all the time.
Yeah.
He's just mean all the fucking time now. I'm like, yo, this isn't the business. It's still got funny stuff in it, but it's definitely a different movie as an adult.
Now, you guys killed the opening credit scenes with the cliffhanger. I thought it was one of the funniest pieces of the movie. First of all, because Cliffhanger to me is one of the oddest movies ever. Yeah, Sylvester Stallone, the guy that plays Rocky, is like this rescue dude that rescues people from climbing, and he's all this climbing expert. And John Lithgow is the villain. I don't think he's ever played a villain before. I have to check.
He played a villain in Footloose. He was like the preacher who didn't want kids to dance.
Eons ago.
Yeah.
But he plays like this super terrorist leader type of dude in this movie. And it doesn't fit John Lithgow.
No, because we know John Lithgow from like
Harry and the Henderson.
All these like fun family things. And that's another thing that just trips me up when you see someone be a bad guy. But Cliffhanger is weird because I didn't even remember half of what the plot was of that movie. Because I've seen Cliffhanger like 3 times, and I don't even know what it's.
When I was younger, I thought it was cool.
It was because that's one of those like movies that came on like when you don't have cable. So they just always, it's like on a Sunday on Fox, and you just.
I would love to ask Sylvester Stallone, why did he say yes to Cliffhanger?
Dude,
who knows? Maybe if it was recasted, it'd probably do a lot better.
So that's funny because like he was supposed to be Beverly Hills Cop, and right, and then like they changed it for Eddie Murphy, and then like he decided to make a different cop movie called Cobra. Like after that, and Cobra is crazy as shit, but Sylvester Stallone is like he was just doing shit for money, like real talk, like, and they were paying him like crazy money. He was like one of the first people to make 20 million on a movie.
But Sylvester Stallone is one of those actors that you look at him and there's only one type of role for him, you know. And now that you brought that up, Eddie Murphy, right? Did you know that when they did Ghostbusters, Ernie Hudson's role, Ghostbusters originally was supposed to only be 3 of them. It was Dan Aykroyd who wrote the film. I forgot who the other person was, but Eddie Murphy was the 3rd person, and he was supposed to be, the character was a lot bigger. And then for whatever reason, they couldn't get Eddie to do the movie, not because of Eddie's fault. And ended up being Ernie Hudson, who got the script, had a bunch of pages, a bunch of lines. Then when it came time to shoot the movie, it was like 4 pages of lines only.
Yep, they cut like, so Ghostbusters is like one of my top 3 favorite movies, and like I just like scour all information about Ghostbusters, and like I knew that, and it was like because I would always see like the poster for Ghostbusters, and it always just have Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, and Bill Murray on the cover. And I'm like, yo, why isn't Winston on the cover of the? It's Winston, like it's Ghost. He's and like the fact that he had all these lines and all this stuff, like there's a whole movie about Winston just cut out of the movie, and they just like, because apparently they did film it too. Like they filmed it and then they cut out all.
Yeah, there's like 2. The second version of the film is longer because the Stay Puft scene is longer also. Good show on Netflix. Movies That Made Us. I think they did one on them. So if you guys want to check it out, I just watched the episode on Elf, which was pretty good. and The Nightmare Before Christmas. I had no idea Tim Burton's had nothing to do with The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, he just produced
the
it.
Characters.
Yeah, right.
Did not direct it, did not write the story, did not do anything at all, because he was filming Batman Returns at the same time. But I was shocked, because anything Eddie Murphy in the 80s, probably my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
Trading Places, The Golden Child, Beverly Hills Cop, which you mentioned, Coming to America. Hold on. I like Vampire in Brooklyn. A lot of people don't like it. I like it.
Yeah, I haven't watched Vampire
Boomerang,
Brooklyn.
Harlem Nights.
Boomerang was the first R-rated movie I ever saw in theaters. I'm dead ass. Like, I saw Boomerang in theaters. I remember seeing it. I remember the part where Grace Jones turned into a skeleton scared me because I was a little ass kid who shouldn't have been seeing an R-rated movie about sex. But my mom wanted to see it, and she didn't have a babysitter, so that was the first R-rated movie I ever saw. Was that? And that, yeah, Eddie Murphy was on a roll. Like,
he was, and I think he did a good job of bringing his guys along. I think all comics should do that. Like, and I think it's been passed down the baton. You know, Richard Pryor did it with Eddie. Eddie did it with Martin, and he did it with Dave Chappelle also.
One of the craziest things I like, just from like hearing stories from Eddie and from other people who knew him, like there used to be a podcast called The Champs with like Neil Brennan and Moshe Kasher. They would just have black guests on, and they had Arsenio Hall talking about how, like, when they were shooting Harlem Nights, and he was like, Richard Pryor couldn't believe that they liked him. And like, he was like, yo, I thought you were teasing me, or he couldn't believe that it was like, fucking Richard Pryor. Like, and how Eddie was just like, he didn't know if Richard actually liked him. And I'm like, these are like shit like this you could hear for hours. Like, I would love to just sit down and hear like random ass stories from these dudes, because like they have some of like the best, or like, I don't even care about like comedy stories from them. I want to hear like, because
how things got put together and stuff like that.
How things got put together, or just like random, because like Eddie Murphy was so big that like people just were their natural selves around him. That's how famous he was, whereas like other rich people were just talking wild shit around him. And I'm like, I need to hear these stories. Like, that shit, like, amount of times he had, like, I've heard multiple comedians talk about just going to like his house to watch boxing pay-per-views, and like it being like a part. I'm like, fuck yeah, I want to go to an Eddie Murphy boxing party. That should be insane.
Dave Chappelle later cashed in on it with Charlie Murphy's True Hollywood Story.
Yep.
I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall. Rick James, Prince, Eddie's house, all the best comedians at the time, because everybody hung out with Eddie.
Yeah.
Eddie cut a song.
Party all the time. Party, that's my shit. I love Party all the time. I don't care what like, I don't like his other music. Like, his other music, even though some people say it's better, like Party all the time is the shit. And then like he did some like weird reggae shit that like I don't I don't get. But Party all the time is a joint.
I'm 100% sure that Party all the time came about with one of those parties, and he was like, you know what, I just want to make a song, whatever. I'm glad he did SNL. I watched it. It was one of the most watched segments in a while on SNL. He won an Emmy for it, which I thought was great. And I can't wait. It's not going to be the same, but I cannot wait for the sequel of Coming to America. It's supposed to come out this Christmas. I don't know if they're still going to.
They said it was supposed to, but I don't. It's like
I don't know.
Even though it was supposed to come out to, I don't know if it was supposed to come straight to Netflix before, but with how everything is going. But I'm telling you, like, because Dolomite Is My Name, like, when that came out, I was like, that's a fucking good movie. That's just like a feel good movie right there. Like,
and the actors that are in it.
Yeah, that's why I'm excited for Coming to America too, because it's like I'm interested in seeing what he's got to do with it, and like because Eddie's supposed to be coming back and doing stand up again. He was supposed to be filming a special this year, apparently.
60 million from Netflix. So, he's easing back into it. It's 60 million. I think it's one special. It's been a while since Raw. Since what's the other one? Is it Delirious?
Yeah.
They're giving the man 60 million. So he eased back into it, doing the monologues on SNL, doing Dolomite Is My Name, which was nominated for a Golden Globe, I think.
Yeah. Like I feel like Eddie Murphy should have won an Oscar by now. Like not for like Dreamgirls, the only movie he was not. I'm talking about like watching Nutty Professor. That movie, like there's a lot of that shit that I don't like about that movie, but he's so good in it as like Sherman and the family. And like you totally forget that he's playing everybody in that movie.
In Coming to America, he plays one of the barbers. Does not look anything like Eddie.
He plays Sexual Chocolate, like the dude from like.
He plays a lot of characters in that movie, but the barber was the one that shocked me because it does not look like Eddie at all.
He plays the Jewish man at the barber too.
Yeah, he does too. Yeah.
Yeah.
He whooped Joe Lewis's ass.
That's it. Rock my Yeah, that. See, he's like so fucking good. Like that's how good he is that he could be like winning a Best Supporting Actor Oscar, and he's all the characters. Like where it's just like, yo, whoever played the mom on this was so good, and it's like that's Eddie Murphy. Like that was a joke, obviously, because Eddie Murphy played everybody. And like you brought up Vampire in Brooklyn, that's one of the weirdest Eddie Murphy movies because he also plays a bunch of people in that movie.
Yeah,
but it's of all the movies he plays a bunch of people.
It's like a little bit outside the era where he was on a roll.
It's a part of the.
Like I watched Metro, man. So nobody watched. Not even.
I saw Metro when he had twists.
Yeah, Holy Man.
I had real talk. This is the funniest shit ever. I had Holy Man. I got Holy Man on like bootleg VHS. Like when that shit was like, because it's like, yeah, this is gonna be good. Like it's an Eddie Murphy movie. Got it from some dude when I lived in Virginia. Bootleg VHS, The Holy Man. I watched that movie so many times just because I only had not that many movies. That movie is so bad, but I've seen Holy Man more than the people who edited Holy Man. That movie's.
And I didn't mention The Golden Child, but The Golden Child's possibly one of my favorite movies. And if he was going to win something, I think Life. The movie Life with Martin is so good. Not much of a comedy. There's some jokes thrown in there, but it's just a good movie all around.
Yeah, it's a real good. See, like that's the thing that makes it sad too, because like he'll have like these comebacks or these like moments where you're just like, fuck yeah, like Eddie's back. Like Eddie's like that's the reason why people love Eddie. Like even though he had like some bad movies, like the '90s had those like the string of bad movies, but then he had Nutty Professor and he had these other things. You're like, damn,
I Spy was fantastic. Where he plays the over-the-top boxer with Owen Wilson.
That was a weird time because that was like the 2000s, Eddie. Because then he had Showtime.
Yep.
Robert De Niro.
Oh man, that one. But I watched it as Eddie, so I always gave Eddie the benefit. Only thing I don't watch is I saw the first Dr. Dolittle, and I seen Haunted Mansion, but he went into that phase where he was doing children's movie.
Yeah.
So
Family movie Eddie is like probably one of the worst. Worst Eddie Murphys. It's just like
this is the same guy that did Raw. He's gonna be in.
Yeah.
So, what's the worst film so far that you think you've watched for the podcast?
I'm gonna say probably Wendigo. Like Wendigo is boring.
It's like your third episode, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, it's our third. Like we were on a roll of just like bad movies, and it's like Wendigo. I think is the worst movie because it's just boring. it's like it's boring. It makes no fucking sense whatsoever. It's like it is like confusing. It's like a story that shouldn't be confusing at all. And then seeing that dude is obsessed with Wendigos because he like made another like he made wrote a video game that has to do with Wendigos, which the video game is actually good. But I'm like, yo, get over these fucking Wendigos. Like, I swear to God.
Trying to. That's how you do it, man. You create a character, you license it, you do the video game, you do the show, the film.
But yeah, that movie is like the worst. Like, Dust Up is bad, but it's so weird that you can be like, yo, I'm gonna put this on in the background, and it's like you could have that at a party, and people would be like, "Yo, what the fuck is this?" And like right, like like you can laugh at that. Wendigo is just like, man, I don't even know why y'all pay to make this movie. Like this shit is.
Outside the podcast, what's the worst movie you've ever seen?
It's funny because I love bad movies. Like I feel like I watch more bad movies than good movies. I'm trying to think of what the worst movie is because it takes a lot. Like I don't really hate movies, and I watch a lot of movies that can be boring.
Okay, so we'll go continue.
Yeah, I'm gonna think of. Let me think.
So I have this app called Splash. Terrific app on the Fire Stick. I could watch basically a ton of movies. Some that are on Netflix, some that aren't, or whatever.
Right.
So they usually put movies up daily.
Mm-hmm.
Shit, I'm trying to remember the name. I think it's. I see the cover of films and I read the little description. The cover usually tells me if it's a straight to DVD movie, which to me was some of the worst. But there's one where it's a couch. It's like a horror movie.
And it's a couch that has like teeth on it?
Yes. I can't find the film now, but that's
I'll tell you the worst movie. Well, this is a movie I just thought about because you said that. This movie is called Shark House.
Might have seen it. I went on a binge of just watching shark movies.
Okay.
September or August.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen Shark Week. No, it wasn't for Shark Week. I don't know what it was. I was drinking Blue Moons. They have like a shark on the summer. It has a shark on a bottle. It was just a weird coincidence. I kept seeing sharks everywhere. So and I saw Deep Blue Sea 2, which there's a sequel. And there's a part 3 also that people didn't know about.
So I'm gonna have to watch that.
By the way, greatest song for a film is Deepest Bluest by LL Cool J.
His hat is like a shark fin.
It's like a shark's fin. I was saying this story at a cousin's bachelor party. I said LL Cool J had to be in the studio wearing his hat just like this when
came through with the Kangol all the way.
Kangol with the FUBU do-rag on. And he's just sitting in the booth like, yo, I'm in a shark movie. I got to write about sharks. It's called Deep Blue Sea. And then just like, boom, it hit him.
He's like, he pulled the one pant leg up so he could test the water. That's the real reason he had the one pant leg up.
I remember Deep Blue Sea was the first time that I saw that was a rapper not getting killed in the film. I think it was him and Rod Digger. Rod Digger was in
13 Ghosts.
13 Ghosts. She doesn't die in that film neither.
Yeah. I forget, like, she's like barely in it. I remember watching that just because Rod Digger was in it. Like, that's a wild.
Well, my wife is crazy about horror movies, so I watch anything that comes on. If she watches it, I try not to watch it because I'm not really a horror movie person.
I love horror movies.
But we saw 13 Ghosts recently, and it's not that bad.
It's not. It's fun enough. Hold on. I got my IMDb open.
Shit, I can't find it, but
because I rate shit on IMDb. Let's see.
But I got some films coming for you guys, man. Just off this app, like it's just some of the weirdest shit you've ever seen.
Yeah, because I love. So yeah, I'm like, yo, do you have Tubi?
Yeah.
Tubi is like legit. Like it has such weird movies that I'm so about Tubi. Like there's a movie called Mama's Spirit on Tubi. It's like this black horror movie. It's not scary at all, and it makes no sense. Also, they misspell mama. So like they only put one M. This shit is straight up filmed on a camcorder. Like it's I was putting it up on my IG story while watching it. That shit was so fucking funny. Like Tubi has like the best bad movies.
I think I saw that on your story.
Yeah,
I might have commented on but I digress. I love terrible movies also, especially when it has a well-known actor on it. Because you're asking yourself, there's not much of a budget to do this film because I'm watching the film. Why did you do this movie? Why were you in it? Why would you say yes? Sometimes it's an Academy Award-winning actor in that film.
Yeah.
And you're like, what the fuck?
That's how you know money, like people are hurting for money a lot. It's like there's a level of like you wouldn't think like Ben Kingsley is doing bad, but he's in like Blood Rain and shit. You're just like, ooh, what? Yeah.
And this is Ben Kingsley, world-renowned actor, theater actor as well.
Sir Ben Kingsley. He played Gandhi. Like, yeah. And he's in like these shitty video game movies. Like it's it's
like Samuel L. Jackson, right? I think he has the most films he on his resume. But he's in a lot. He just pops up in different films. I'm like, what the fuck is Sam Jackson doing in this movie?
I think he's similar to Christopher Walken. I remember I was reading Christopher Walken trivia one time, like because I was just bored, and like two things that stood out to me. He's like he does any movie he gets just because he likes working, and then also he was like the best advice he's ever been given was someone said be careful. And I was like, that's the weirdest shit I've ever heard. like he's just like, yeah.
Well, it might have been Robert Durst that gave him that advice.
Oh, God.
I don't understand. Christopher Walken, I don't know. I'm not going to get into it. But yeah, we were talking about Richard Pryor. I saw a doc on Richard Pryor and on his life. I don't know what channel it is. Which is terrible. I should have did my research. I should have been ready for it. It was fantastic. I'm waiting for the movie on his life to come out. I don't know who they're going to get to play Richard.
They've been having mad people change up. It was supposed to be
Mike Epps for a while. Marlon Wayans, which I think would be a terrible.
I seen the video of him like doing it. It's weird. It's weird as shit.
But it gives you an understanding. Richard Pryor, by the way, he came out in a time where it wasn't easy to be a black comic, especially to be a creative black comic. Like, they canceled his show off the opening scene. He wanted to be naked during the first scene. I think the bit was he didn't have to. It's a close up of his face. He's like, yeah, America, I got my own television show. It's great. I didn't sell out. I didn't have to give up anything for the show. And then they're supposed to pan out, and Rich was supposed to be completely naked. It got canceled off of that. And Robin Williams was one of the co-stars on that show. So that shows you how big Richard Pryor is.
Yeah. He's so like watching some of his stuff and listening to his like records and also just seeing when he was younger and he was performing and he's like wearing a suit and he's like clean comedians. That's my favorite. Like my favorite shit to see is just like comedians from a certain time when they had to be suit, tie, hair combed, this type and that. Like seeing him and like Carlin all suited up and being polite on like a variety show. Like that is like because they were all like, especially with Richard, he had to be in. He was coming up with when like Bill Cosby was like a thing, and so that was like literally he was the mold that every black comedian had to be, is like polite Bill Cosby person on TV for a lot of people. Then
I mean, obviously, because America wouldn't have accepted anything else at that point.
Exactly.
And then Richard wanted to be Richard, and he didn't want to take no shit from anybody. And it turned against him. His life is interesting though.
It's super interesting.
Did not know he was raised by his grandmother, who was an alleged madam.
Yeah, because his mother was a prostitute.
Yeah. Like so he's got a crazy.
He made a movie about his like JoJo backstory. Dancer.
Yeah. So he's got like a really crazy backstory. If you ask any comedian top 5, his name pops up somewhere in that list. So if you want to watch something on a good comedian, because I like to watch things, you know, obviously the stand-up, but I like to watch them in interviews, documentaries, those little stories in between of things that George Carlin is one that I've always loved. And it's just because his point of view is at that time it was just crazy. People were like, "Oh my God, this old man must be crazy." And he was on. Was it the Shiny Time Station? What show was that?
I think it's called that with Thomas the
train
tank engine. Yeah.
So it was just weird, a weird time.
Him and Eric Idle, they were both on that show. Like that was, I used to watch that show sometimes, and it was like,
and he's all like a conductor and all propped and very, but that's just the times back then. You had to conform, which is unfortunate. Yeah. But if you want to listen to the podcast, it's called Nobody Watches Everything. It's available on Anchor. It's available on Apple. Is it on Spotify also?
Yeah, it's on Spotify.
Spotify, Google, the whole works. I'll have the link on our Instagram. We do a segment here called Funny Little Story. Oh, there's the graphic. Thank you. So for Funny Little Story, I usually share a funny story with my guests, and the guest gives me a funny little story in between. I mentioned earlier we had met. The first time we met was at a barbecue at Justin's house.
Right.
That was 2018. And then December, it was like a Christmas thing. It had to be a Christmas thing.
Yeah, it was a Christmas thing.
We got a couple mutual friends in common. Hadn't seen you in a while. So we're talking, and I go to the kitchen. Justin's like, let's get a drink. Justin, the director of the show, by the way. Let's get a drink. So we go to the kitchen, and I thought of some funny shit to say to you specifically. And the kitchen is right in front of the living room area. And I'm like, yo, Tim. Unbeknownst to me, another dude turned around and he's like, oh, what's up, man? I'm looking at him like, I'm not speaking to you, bro. I don't even know you. I just met you. Tim. Justin goes, who the fuck are you calling, Rick? Tim, bro. Like, his name is Clayton, not Tim. I was like, oh, fuck. What makes matters worse, I think we were following each other on Instagram also.
Yeah.
So I was like, Justin must be drunk. His name has to be Tim. He's like, look it up. Play Fighter 88. I was like, all right, you're right, I'm wrong.
Man.
You know, I also, Major Lasers, the Major.
Yeah.
we had Walshy Fire on the show.
Okay, yeah.
I'm going to share another story with you. It's very similar. So we're wrapping up the interview. And I remember I had been watching Boardwalk Empire like nonstop for 2 weeks.
Mm.
I wanted to watch something good. This is during COVID.
Right.
And I had not seen the last 3 seasons of it. Michael K. Williams is one of my favorite actors.
It's super good.
So we discussed it a little bit on the episode. And at the end, I'm going to say goodbye to Walshy. But instead of saying Walshy, I say Chalky White, you're welcome. Anytime you want.
Shit.
One of the biggest DJs in the world is on my little tiny podcast. And I call him Chalky White. You know, and he's such a good dude that I was able to recover. I still talk to him still to this day. I actually spoke to him last week. But that's one of my most embarrassing moments. So it's not the first time, Tim. Chalky White, I think, is worse though.
Oh man. Let me think, because I'm trying to think. Like, I feel like I'm not embarrassed by a lot of stuff sometimes. Like, I'm like,
it doesn't have to be an embarrassment. It could be something funny that has happened that you thought gave you a good chuckle.
Let me think.
It'd be fucked up if I call you Tim White.
Tim Chalky White.
Tim Chalky White.
A lot of people fuck up my name. That's the funny. That's my stage name. AKA Tim Chalky White.
How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Clayton Williams here. Entertaining you tonight, AKA Tim Chalky White, motherfuckers. That's what I go by in Buffalo. Mean Streets of Buff.
In the Mean Streets of Buff. Oh, okay. I'll tell you. This is a story. I don't know if I told you this. One of the first big gigs I ever had was opening for Steve-O.
Oh, the Jackass guy. Yeah.
Yeah. The Jackass guy. And so, full disclosure, Steve-O sucks. He just sucks.
He's not a comedian. He's more like a stunt man. All the guys were more like a stunt guy, or not even stunt, because that's degrading that position on film. They were more just guys that didn't give a shit and they would do anything for money.
That's the weird thing about Steve-O. If there's anything I can say I can respect about him in a sense, it's like he is he went to clown college, and he's
It's like Burger College.
Yeah. They teach you how to be like a clown, and they do all that pratfalling, and it's like a real skill. And I respect it, because again, it's similar to stunt work stuff. So but met him, and I was opening for him, and he was just sober. He's newly sober.
Yeah.
I met Steve-O. So the club is like, hey, you can't drink around him. You can't do any of this around him, blah, blah, blah. Cool. Got it. He was super weird, but he was addiction crazy for everything. He was a sex addict too.
Mm-hmm.
And this, so
he was drugs and pills and stuff too.
Yeah. And one of the things that happened during the weekend was this real hot lady came into the show. Everyone was just talking about her, because you could just see her throughout the entire show, and she was she was begging everyone if she could blow Steve-O. And we're all this is the first time I'm actually working comedy club, like for real, like not at like an open mic. I'm like doing a weekend, and I'm like, what? And she's like, I'm telling, like, I need to get back there, and like this, she's like super. And he's like, and like he's like hiding out from this woman because he's
Dream
like.
room.
Cause like I can't do it, bro. Like I'm in rehab, and I'm just like, okay, Steve. He was like the weirdest dude. The entire like he was showing me videos of stuff he was like filming, and he was like filming himself jumping in like the Niagara River, and like this fucking gimp suit or something. And the funny thing is, so my like one of my good friends who was driving him around because like he was in AA at the time. So Steve-O asked him to take him to AA in different meetings, and then he also asked him to take him to the Niagara River so he could jump in that water. And my friend was like, did he show you the video? There's like a part of it where I thought he was going to die. I'm not jumping in the river for him.
I mean, I guess he was going through a process, and
it was so weird. And he was like such a diva about a lot of stuff, and like complained about his music not being right. And he was just like, but dealing with him, and like it's funny. Any bad comedian tends to be the most dickish. Like
Joe Rogan.
I don't
think Joe Rogan's a good stand-up.
No. I don't either. I like. Listen, he's probably not going to have me on his show now. No.
I doubt Joe Rogan's going to listen to this. The funniest dude in his team is oh, I forgot his name now. Oh my god, he's good friends with Todd Phillips. He's in all Todd Phillips films. Brian Callen.
Brian Callen?
Yeah, he's probably maybe Brian Callen. But everybody that is a stand-up comedian and hangs out with Joe Rogan are awful. Like comics, stand-up comics.
Like Brendan Schaub and
Brendan Schaub's a UFC fighter. Like, what are you doing stand-up? I don't think a 6'8", 230-pound man who is chiseled is going to be funny.
No, here's the thing. Like that's the worst part, and like they can be funny and like talking to somebody, because I think that's a big thing. A lot of people who get into comedy, just both either famous people or like regular people, where they're just like, my friends think I'm funny. It's like, yeah, your friends also have known you for like 5 years, and they know all your bullshit, and so they think it's funny because they were also there, and they were like, oh, remember when you tripped over that hooker? You're like, yeah, that shit. Yeah, that shit's funny to them because you all experienced it, but then you try to sell that to other people, and like you don't have any
translate on the stage.
Exactly, like you just being like a fun dude to be around is not the same as being a good comedian. And like Joe Rogan is.
The podcast is good. It's interesting.
The podcast is interesting as shit. Like I will say, like I listen to podcasts a lot, but like sometimes his stand up is just so.
I've tried. Believe me, I tried. I'm a huge fan of MMA. I was shocked that Joe Rogan was the host of the UFC and he was the color man or commentary.
I'm always surprised by like that, because when I
knows that shit so well. So when you're watching the fight, you don't want to hear John Anik. You don't want to hear any of the other guy. You want Joe or maybe Daniel Cormier to talk about what's going on, or Dominic Cruz. You want them to break it down, you know, because Joe knows the positions, he knows the angles, he knows what fighters should do, what coaches should be saying. I just watched the pay-per-view this weekend, and he only does the pay-per-views now.
Yeah.
And it's just much more enjoyable when he's doing the fight.
Because he's like so serious about that world, and I didn't even realize that until like much later, because like knowing him from like Fear Factor.
Yes, shit, that's everybody in the world should admit that they know Joe Rogan's name. not because of the podcast, but because of Fear Factor.
Yeah, Joe Rogan was Fear Factor, and then he had the second version of the Man Show, which was like weirdish. And I remember seeing when they changed to the Man Show, and I was like, Joe Rogan's too handsome to be on the Man Show. You got to be like a weird, like dirtbag looking dude like Adam Carolla and shit, like to do the Man Show. Like Joe Rogan looks like he can actually get women. Like that's that's like the idea. But yeah, him being so super about like mixed martial arts was like such a shock because you only see him talking people into eating bugs and shit, and then you're like, oh yeah, he can beat the shit out of me.
he's I think he's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Eddie Bravo. Yeah. Well, Eddie Bravo's his friend, but he's into BJJ and another practice. I forgot what it was. But he's been there since '92, so he knows his shit.
Right.
So a guy that does that cannot be on a stage trying to make me laugh because you can choke me out. I'm gonna laugh because I know you can choke me out with.
You're scared. You're so good, Joe. You're so It's a nervous scare. It's a nervous laugh. You just you're right. You're right. You're so good.
So we do a segment called 3, 2, 1. I think you did this before on season 5. What are 3 things you've been watching besides films for your podcast? It doesn't have to be a film; it could be anything.
Yeah, I've been watching the Queen's Gambit.
I have not seen that show. Everybody keeps telling me to watch it. Is it that good?
It's good. It's pretty good. It's like I was like, everyone has been talking about it, and then we started watching. I was like, it's pretty good. Also watched this show it's been on. I didn't even realize that's how crazy it is to watch shows now because you're so used to just being able to binge it. Mm-hmm. And it's a show called A Teacher. It's on Hulu.
Oh, yes. Do you know it was a film before it was a show?
Yeah. So yeah, it was the woman who wrote the movie and directed or whatever.
Yeah, she produced the show for Hulu.
Yeah,
I saw the movie and the show.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird to watch it because it's so like Jen, my girl. She is a professor now, and she hates watching. Yeah, she hates watching anything with teachers because she's always like, "This shit, this shit is so weird." And I understand. It's also weird to watch like a drama that's only like 22 minutes long because that's like sitcom length. So you're like sitting there like.
It's only like 6 or 8 episodes or something like that.
Yeah, the 8th episode.
Very short.
We just watched the 8th episode today before we started the podcast, and like nothing happened in it, and it was just like, the fuck, like that's the worst part about having like a short ass drama. You're like,
well, according to the producer and the writer of the movie, she wanted to show it from the student's point of view. Because usually when they do these things, like the Mary Kay Letourneau or whatever, they do it from the teacher.
Right.
You saw the show. Have you guys seen the film?
No, I've not seen the film.
The film is a million times weirder. I think you should watch the film.
I'll definitely watch the film.
It's a million times weirder. We saw the show, and then, Jessica and I always, like, we're watching something, we'll Google facts on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we saw, oh shit, it was a movie before. Let's watch that. And it's the same woman who produced the show. She directed the film or whatever. She wrote, directed, and produced the film. I need to write, produce, and direct something and sell it. Make it a miniseries too. The movie is completely different from the show, and I think she kind of flipped the angles. But if you watch the movie, it's a different point of view. It's the same shit you saw on the show, just from a different perspective.
All right, I'll definitely have to watch the movie because the show is like, it's real weird, and like how she gets caught is like the craziest thing because she literally just snitches on herself.
Yeah.
Like it's normal. Like that's the funniest shit about the thing where she's like, okay, I'll tell you.
And it's Kate Mara that plays the teacher in the show.
Right. And she just is like, I'm fucking my student. And her friend's like, what?
What?
She thought it was going to be cool.
Do you know that's an abuse of power?
Like, that's not cool. And she's like, no, he's 18. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, you are an 18-year-old older than this kid. Like,
they go to some ranch in Texas for his 18th birthday.
That shit is like watching that shit and just thinking
like, whoever hasn't seen it.
Like that whole part is so weird because you're like, how the fuck did his mom just like straight up let him not be at the house when has to babysit his brothers all the time, and he got a weekend just randomly out at a ranch?
One of his brothers got hurt because I'm not gonna say the part, but
yeah,
watch the show. I find those things interesting because it's kind of like I thought it was a real story when I first was watching.
Right.
That's why I Googled it, because if it's a true story, then it makes it more interesting for me. Just like I seen the Lorena Bobbitt.
Oh, that shit. Hold on. I have to run real quick. I'm gonna be right back, but we got to talk about that.
The show that we're talking about, A Teacher, is on Hulu. I think the movie is on Hulu also. It's called A Teacher, just like that. Hulu also did. No, I'm sorry. Amazon Prime did a special on Lorena Bobbitt. They did a special and then they did a reenactment movie. So there's two things you can watch on her. Very interesting. I didn't know a lot of that story. All I knew was that she castrated her husband. That's all you knew from the press clippings growing up.
Right.
So I was just talking about Lorena Bobbitt. All I knew growing up was that this woman castrated her husband. So Amazon Prime did a doc on her, and then there's like a reenactment movie also.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I think there's 2 or 3 things. There's a series, and then there's the doc reenactment thing that you can watch. I've seen them both, but that story was interesting.
The doc is super good because that was like, I think Jordan Peele produced that. Mm-hmm. And also because John Wayne Bobbitt, like, I think he still does live in Buffalo. And
wow. Oh, didn't he have like a girlfriend in Buffalo while he was with this woman, and she was sending money and supporting him and the girlfriend that was in Buffalo? The guy's a douchebag, by the way.
Dude, John Wayne Bobbitt fucking sucks. Like, that's the crazy shit about that like whole story is that he's such a douchebag and such a and then he did porn after.
I mean, so there was a mystique or an aura of what a reattached penis would look like. So I think that there was a market for it. Somebody offered him a ton of money.
Absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, that shit.
But at the time that the incident happened, he was the one that was like seen as the victim and glorified. And he was making all this money and all these appearances. And she was like shunned by the public.
Yeah.
And then you hear her story because she was an immigrant and because she didn't know her rights.
Right.
All this awful shit happened to her, and she was being abused and raped.
Yeah, that's like watching that. It's like incredible how she like had to deal with it because I did one because of how they tell that story and how it's so based around like John Wayne. Like I didn't know she was an immigrant. I didn't know anything about that. I remember when this stuff was like happening and stuff, and you don't know her story other than that she did this. But like that documentary about all the shit she was going through and her being like abused by this dude, he's a fucking piece of shit and taking advantage of her being in this rough situation. And like you're like, fuck, this
and the state that she was in, it wasn't considered rape because they were married. Yeah, now that's insane.
That there are too many fucking like weird laws that these dumbass puritanical weirdos made that make people go like, oh, this is good. Like, no, this shit is fucked up. Like, how are you not going to call that? How are you not going to call any of this abuse? Like, you're talking about these people. That's like slave shit, where you're like you're acting like they're property, so you can do what you want with. Like, that's fucking gross. That
also, he was in the military, so he had like his white guy. I think they were in the South at the time. I think it was Georgia. I'm not sure. I don't know the state, but military background. So usually guys like that are seen in these towns like, oh no, this guy served. We gotta get on our knees and blow him because he served.
Yeah.
Not to downplay anybody that's been in the military. I have a lot of friends that served in Iraq. My wife's uncle was in the military. They do deserve that kind of respect. But when a man crosses the line and forces himself on a woman, even if it's his wife, wrong is wrong, right is right.
Yeah. It's a thing that, and I think people forget, it's like good and bad people have jobs. Like you get into the military, like you're doing something for this country, but like if you're not a good dude, you're still not a good dude. I don't care what uniform you're hiding behind, you're a bad dude. Like there's a documentary, I think it's called The Invisible War. It's like an older one, and it was about like the sexual assaults that happen in the military and how they're covered up with like female officers and like soldiers and stuff. And it's like
just like
behavior.
That's again.
Yeah.
There's a huge cover up there. They found the girl's remains, like, and it was pieces of the remains. So it was on a military base. So somebody knows something. Something happened to this young girl.
Right.
It reminds me a lot of The General's Daughter. You seen the film with?
Yes, I have seen The General's Daughter. Yeah.
So it's something like that where something happens on the base, but because it's on a military base, it's hush hush and nobody talks about it.
And that shit is wild. Like that's the scariest thing about all these things. It's like being, whether in military or being a cop or any of this other stuff, is that there is a level of like cover up for bad shit, and you're like supposed to be protecting people. Like that's scary as fuck. That, and it's like to that deep thing where like you're finding bodies in places, and it's wild.
So we got a little dark there. So what are two things you've been listening to? That's you said A Teacher. Three things you were watching was A Teacher. I think you just started off on A Teacher, and then we.
I said Queen's Gambit, A Teacher, and I've also been watching like Bob's Burgers, because that's always
Bob's
fun.
Burger. If you like Bob's Burger, I think you also like. Oh my God, Nick Kroll. I'm so sorry, Nick Kroll. Big Mouse.
Big Mouth?
Big Mouse is such a good show.
I watched like the first 2 episodes and I didn't like it, but that's a lot of shows.
You gotta get into it. I'm a huge fan of all the guys from the league, so.
Oh yeah, the league was great.
What are two things you've been listening to?
I've been listening to like the new West Side Gun album. Pretty much like all like Griselda shit. That's been like real good. Catching up on podcasts like yours, and
he's lying.
I'm not like I listen to all of my friends' podcasts. Like I love hearing my friends talk, and like that shit is just like the best, especially when I'm like at work and just trying to like put in orders and do stuff. Like it's the best because it's like just a fun conversation.
So I heard Dust Up on. I have to go to the city 2 days a week to go to my job physically. I heard Dust Up, and I'm laughing hysterically out loud. You were describing the guy with the eye, and then you're like, you could have saved more money if they didn't reveal the eye. I don't know if it was Rick or you. But you guys were going into details about the movie, and I must have seen like crazy person because I was laughing. I'm wearing a mask and I'm laughing like crazy listening to the. So I do the exact same thing because I'm not able to view things. I mean,
Yeah.
if I can listen to something, I'll definitely check it out. So yeah,
it's the best. Yeah, like podcasts are super good for just like doing stuff, and you're like, because you get to zone out and actually get work done, and then like, oh
be
shit, cool.
entertained at the same time. Yeah.
Exactly. Sometimes it's horrible because sometimes I'll have to answer the phone and then like talk to
You
people, and
gotta
I'm like
pause
listening
the
to
damn episode.
it. Sometimes, or I'll have it in my ear and I forget to pause it, so I'm just like trying to understand what someone's saying to me on the phone.
Well, what's one thing you do to keep your sanity during COVID? I mean, the Bills are winning, so
I
every Sunday.
yeah, like watching the Bills has been good. What like I don't know, like drawing and playing games and stuff, and I'm trying to think what's a real good thing.
Barbecuing.
All
I know you
right,
love that.
straight up, that's exactly been the thing. Like honestly, this year for like barbecuing, it's been the fucking best. Like I liked barbecuing, but this year especially when I was out of work for stuff, and I'm like, yo, I'm putting things on the grill. We're doing this right now. I don't care if it's snowing. I don't care if it's raining. Like I'm grilling. I'm drinking a beer. I'm sitting back. Like it's like barbecuing has definitely been like a real good like sanity
Therapy
keeper.
session.
It is because you're like in your mind. You're like, so I've been doing a lot of that kind of stuff, like grilling and cooking and making stuff. Like I've been making jerky this year. Like
Okay.
it's been wild. Like
Clayton's
jerky.
jerky coming soon.
Yeah.
Clayton's jerky.
I don't know, man. Like the recipe, like it's been top notch. Like it's been some good jerky. Like it was a thing. I was like, oh shit, like because I don't have a dehydrator, but like I saw that you could make jerky in the oven. You just gotta cook it at the lowest temperature for a long time, like slow and low, like actually like barbecue, and it's been like crazy like how good it is, and it doesn't cost anything because you get like cheap cut of meat and just cut that. Like it's been a all out grill cook year. Like I've been making pizzas. Like we got a pizza stone and I've been making my own like it's been wild. Like I've that's the thing that's kept me sane all year is just like cooking and like making stuff and like learning like little trades and shit. And like yesterday I had to fix a door at my job and like drilling through metal and like screwing shit and just like you're just like getting your handyman on all day. You're just like, you know what? All right, I'm in a good mood now. I'm like normal. Like that helps me because I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm just like zoned out, listen to a podcast, cook something, chill out, grill, drink beer, hang out with my girl, just enjoy the day. Like that, yeah, for all the crazy shit that's happened, that's been the best thing for it.
So you guys, we decided to do this crossover episode, and the randomizer. Rick put the randomizer on for us, and the movie we got was Fred Claus. Let me look up Fred Claus. I got my notes ready, but I know Rick does the intro, talks about the year. It's starring Paul Giamatti, obviously. Paul Giamatti, Vince Vaughn, Elizabeth Banks, I forgot, John Michael Higgins, Kevin Spacey, and Rachel Weisz.
And Ludacris. Don't forget Ludacris.
And Ludacris is Kathy Bates. Oh my God. Ludacris, Kathy Bates.
That's crazy cast.
Bobby J. Thompson is in it. It's got a great cast. IMDb has a 5.6 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes gave it 21%. The budget was $37 million. The movie made 97.8. It says Silver Pictures, so I'm imagining Joe Silver produced the film.
Yep.
So that's the other Rick. he normally cuts through the intro, and then tell me. I want to know what you think first, because I watched it. First of all, you guys have ruined movies for me. You and Rick, you ruined it because you made me watch the movies with my critic hat on. I wrote notes here. I made my wife watch it as well. She was enjoying it until I kept on pointing things out to her, and she was like, "I can't watch this shit like this." Tell me what you think.
So I had never saw this movie before, and I never wanted to.
Seen.
No, I had never
saw it before.
I had never seen Fred Claus. Yeah, I had never seen Fred Claus before. So I remember when this movie came out, and I used to work at a Rite Aid, and I would see this DVD. They had the DVD on the shelf, and I would see that DVD in the corner of my eye every time I would work the photo lab, and just I just see Paul Giamatti's big dumb face all the fucking time. And I never saw the movie. And for good reason, because this movie's trash. This shit is so I feel like a Grinch talking shit about but it's a weird fucking movie. They do a lot of weird stuff. I shouldn't have questions when I watch a movie this simple. It should be an easy ass story, but I'm asking questions so where did these elves come from if they were humans and then they became Santa Claus becomes magic because he became a saint, but which doesn't make sense. It's okay, his whole family becomes magic, and then it's
that was my first question. So Santa's the two, Fred, who's Santa's brother, and Nick, they're little boys in the beginning of the movie. Kathy Bates is the mom. Mm-hmm. I was like, so Santa has been around for eons, the story of Santa, and this seems like it's in 1800s, something whatever medieval times,
right?
That's what it looked like. Not 1800s, but you know what I mean.
Medieval times.
Yeah. So how do you go from medieval times to present day? Because Vince Vaughn on the cover looks like Vince Vaughn in any movie that he's been in.
Right.
So they briefly throw in, yes, he becomes a saint, and anybody who's related to him stays the same way they've looked. So Vince Vaughn looks way younger than Santa, and Santa's supposed to be younger brother.
Right.
Explain that one to me.
Yeah, and they say it's because of stress, and it's so he's been and I understand. So this shit, this shit is so fucking weird. Why is it that no one thinks it's weird that he's Santa Claus' brother? Rachel Weisz is Vince Vaughn's girlfriend,
Chicago policewoman,
who's British.
And
not only that, Rachel Weisz is actually British, but she's doing the worst British accent I've ever seen in a movie. Straight up, not since Dick Van Dyke and Mary Poppins have I seen someone do a British accent so bad. And she's legit British, and she's and I'm like, yo, this feels weird. But she gets flown to the North Pole and doesn't even question it. She doesn't even remotely the dude you've been with for, I'm gonna say, a year or so. You just found out that not only is he 1,000 years old or some shit, but his brother is Santa Claus, and you're just bored. You're bored, and you're there's so much shit that happens in this movie that don't mean anything. The dude who asks her out, who is Negan on The Walking Dead, he's never seen again.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan, never seen again. Ever. And Vince Vaughn's talking about how old that guy is. Vince Vaughn, you're fucking 500 years old. You're literally older than Santa Claus.
So I was disturbed in the opening scene when they say the fattest baby. It's ridiculous how they made this baby. First of all, Kathy Bates is giving birth in the first scene of this movie.
Yeah.
That if I told you, yo, we're gonna watch a movie and it opens with Kathy Bates giving birth, it wouldn't be a movie you'd be like, yeah, I need to see that shit immediately.
It's
Second
a
of
Christmas
all,
movie.
Kathy Bates for me will forever be Dolores Claiborne. So, or the mother from the Waterboy.
Waterboy, yeah.
The dad is like this pushover guy, and they make Kathy Bates to seem like this overprotective mother. She's all about Nick and Fred. Like she's not about Fred. Like Fred is the bad son.
Yeah.
How old is Fred Claus? Never. They never make that clear. I wrote medieval times. The first thing I was like, this shit happens during medieval times. And the Christmas tree scene in the beginning of the movie. This was all just the beginning. So Nick chops down a tree. They're trying to tell the story of the origin of the Christmas tree. His brother is on the tree.
Right. Like he almost kills his brother.
Almost kills his brother. And he's like, oh, look. Oh, I cut down a tree. And nobody cares. Where's the parents? What's going on? And almost kills a bird, his brother's favorite bird. There's I wrote ethnic thing happening in the background. I gotta remember what that's about, but it's probably some racist that shit. That's another thing. Because of you guys, I realize how racist fucking movies are now. We're listening to you because you're watching it with a different perspective. And then the chimney scene. So it's and then you get to the North Pole. He needs, I think it was 20 grand or 50 grand, and Santa's
he needs 50 grand.
I'll give you the 50. Where does Santa have 50 grand? First of all,
right. First, like, where the fuck does Santa have money? Why does Santa have a boss? Like there's
and Kevin Spacey. How is there a corporation that oversees, and it's like, what do you call these people? Like he's like a consultant that comes.
Yeah.
Compliance officer. What the fuck you gotta be compliance about?
Yeah, it's Santa Claus. Like he's not making moves. Like what? Like are they gonna have to cut the? Like he's got so Santa Claus because this shit is like that's the worst thing about this movie is that I have so many questions and it's such a dumbass
Banks
movie.
Is a normal size elf in the film.
A normal size elf who's dressed sexy for some reason all the time, and it makes no sense. And I don't know why they cast like regular actors to play elves, and then they just had to put their heads on a little person.
The graphics was awful.
It is weird, and like
this was 2007. Weird. It wasn't that.
No, like Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings had people looking short in it, and it's from the same studio. So that movie came out in 2001. You mean to tell me y'all can do that? Like, all you got to do.
Paid Vince a hefty sum to be in the film. That's why.
I hope Vince Vaughn got paid $30 million for that movie, and the rest of the 5 had to be spread out to make the movie because it looks like it. Like the special effects are garbage. Like everyone's heads have a different frame rate from the rest of the movie, and I don't know why Ludacris had to be in the movie just to play a DJ elf.
My issue is why does Ludacris have to be the DJ elf?
Exactly. Like he's the only black elf, and he has to be a DJ.
He has to be the DJ. He couldn't have been Michael Higgins' character. He had to be the DJ.
Right. And he's from the south side of the North Pole.
Yes.
There's a hood in the North Pole.
So Vince got $20 million for this film.
Of course he did. Of course he did. That 70% of the budget of this movie went to Vince Vaughn. That's hilarious. Good on him. Because this movie, like they didn't spend any money on it. Like with elves, because when you watch a normal Christmas movie and you don't think anything of it,
$17 million on everything else. Because the budget was 37.
And, oh my God.
Funny enough, Vince, the next following year did 4 Christmases. I guess.
Yeah. He was on a Christmas. Christmas movies are money. Like they. He's like, I'm telling you, it's gonna make me even more money because residuals are gonna play it every year. And
that's what I was thinking of. Because the Mariah Carey thing pops into my head every time this year. And a lot of artists have tried afterwards. But if you come up with a good film or a good song during this time of year, it's every year it's money. It's not like if you release a song or whatever, it's gonna get played for those 3 or 4 years and then it's dead. Same thing with movies. So I guess Vince was like, one of these two has to stick.
Yeah. I don't think either of them did. I think maybe like 4 Christmases did better. Like I've seen 4 Christmases before and I've seen it on TV. I have never seen Fred Claus anywhere other than like yesterday when I watched this movie. Because there's too many questions that I have to ask. Like the $50,000, he doesn't even like care about it. Like that whole subplot is gone. And when he becomes Santa Claus, spoiler alert, everybody, he becomes Santa Claus for now, I guess, because his brother's back went out, and then Bobby J also wasn't important to this movie for whatever. Like, there's so many unimportant people.
That's
in the
what
movie.
bothered me. So Bobby J plays Vince's neighbor, I guess, who comes down a fire escape.
Yep.
Reminds me of Martin with Brother Man from the 5th Floor.
Yep.
comes down a fire escape, and it has to be a black young kid. Well, I mean, it's Chicago, but a black young kid, and he has to, like, Vince finds out that later, like, his father passed away or something like that, and they were going to put him home. But this is I want to know who came up with this film. I think somebody in Vince's circle was like, Vince, I got an idea. I'm going to put you in a Christmas movie, and you got to play Santa Claus' brother. And Vince was like, I'm making money. Sign me up. Doesn't matter.
Give me 30. Like, give me most of the budget. Give me most of the budget. I'll do. Like, it's like that. Bobby J shit reminded me. Fuck. I just forgot them. Oh, do you remember when they did that remake of Annie with like Jamie Foxx and stuff?
I've never saw it, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
So for Black Annie, they make.
Oh yes. Now it hits. Yeah, okay.
Annie can't read. They make her not be able to read because, like, they have her doing a speech, and then you find out she can't read. And I was like, "The fuck this got to do with Annie? Like, Annie? Why can't Black Annie read? Like, this is." This is messed up.
It's just how Hollywood sees things.
Yeah, and like the only 2 black people in all of Fred Claus, one's a DJ from the south side of the North Pole, and the other one is.
What is the south side of the North Pole? What does that look like?
It's got less candy canes. I don't know. Broken sugar cookies everywhere. Like. Does it have projects? I don't know. Like, what the fuck? The fuck is the south side of
the North Pole? I just asked yourself that question.
The ghetto of the North Pole. Like, the movie is garbage. It's weird as fuck. And like the idea of Santa Claus having a brother that is like no good. Interesting premise. That could be an actual movie.
Especially when you find out it's Vince Vaughn. Vince Vaughn plays Vince Vaughn in every single film.
Right. It could have been a real movie.
Acting chops. Like the Cell Block movie, I was like, why are you making Vince do this? Makes absolutely no sense.
It's funny because like before this movie, we just watched a Vince Vaughn movie that came out this year called Freaky. That is actually.
I literally saw that recently. Yeah,
I actually liked it.
Pretty funny in it, actually.
Yeah, that was a good movie. But like then watching this one, he's just talking fast for no reason, and like none of this. It's just like, yo, be Vince Vaughn for 90 minutes.
He's Vince Vaughn from Old School, but he's Santa's brother for some reason.
Yeah, that's it. He's leather jacket and there's a part in the movie that Jen called out, and I thought it was like the funniest shit. So he's supposed to travel back to the North Pole, and all of it is just stock footage, like every scene, including there's a part where like this Inuit man is like a snow dogs and stuff, and it's the only time he changes his clothes in the movie, and it's because they had to match it with the stock footage of the snow dog people. Because he's not in a scene with any of the dogs or anything. He just cuts this footage, and then all of a sudden he has to be wearing a winter coat, even though he was in the North Pole just wearing a jacket.
Because he uses the 20, is it 20 grand, 50 grand? I don't remember. He uses the money to go back to the North Pole. And you can't just fly to the North Pole because he magically got picked up by Santa's elf, and they went on the sleigh. All of a sudden, he picks up a random payphone in a Chicago street, and he books a flight to God knows where. Then he does like this bunch of layover trips, and the footage is terrible. That's why.
Yeah.
Because they gave Vince Vaughn $20 million. So,
like, I want to know how Kevin Spacey got there, because he gets on a helicopter, and it's like, where the fuck did this helicopter go? Like,
well, apparently Christmas is a corporation, and he's the compliance officer or director or whatever. And he goes, how do you fire Santa Claus, first of all? That's just, there's a scene where Spacey walks in and he fires him.
Yeah, he gives him a pink slip, and it's like, what is going to happen next? Like, and then you find out the reason why he's doing this is because he didn't get a present when he was young. And it's like that's the worst part about this, and it makes me mad that because I knew everything that was going to happen in the movie. And I was just like, fuck, I could write this. And I'm mad that I didn't. Like, because give me like 10 G's to write these shitty ass Christmas movies that are so easy to make. And like, it pisses me off. I'm like, damn, that I might change my career. I'm going to stop doing comedy, and I'm just going to write shitty ass Christmas movies.
I mean, you'll make a ton of money if you work for Steven Seagal or Jean-Claude Van Damme or any of these guys that'll do any film that they throw on their lap. And Christmas movies. I've been watching a ton of Christmas movies with my 5-month-old son. Yes, my 5-month-old son that does not know what's going on. There's a few I watched for Arthur's Christmas, which is an animated film. It's pretty good, actually. I like it.
Okay, I remember that.
What we've seen, he saw Christmas Vacation, which is a classic, which is what I was hoping we would get. Something.
Yeah, right.
I'm trying to think. There was one that was pretty bizarre. Oh, the Ben Affleck one.
Oh,
with James Gandolfini. Surviving Christmas or whatever the hell it's called.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
It's pretty good. Pretty good. I took a page off you guys' book. I've been watching random. There's one that I'm watching next that stars Danny DeVito, who I'm a huge fan of.
Christmas with the Crank? No, that's not Christmas with the Crank.
No, that's this is Deck the Halls, I think.
Deck the Halls, right? Yeah.
It's with
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Matthew Broderick.
Mm.
So that's the one I'm watching next. So I've been on a little kick, you know. Well, Arthur's Christmas is a pretty decent animation film.
I think animated movies are good for Christmas, and the first Santa Claus movie, that's not bad. Although
I mean, Elf, I got a huge appreciation for Elf now because I saw
Elf is good.
Making of it. And then after I saw the making, I saw the film. And it just gave me a different level of appreciation for it. You know, they didn't want Will Ferrell to be buddy because they didn't think his name was Big Elf.
And that's the funny, and I think about that too because I forget what year it was that they came out, but I being a fan of SNL. I knew about Will Ferrell for so long.
For a while, yeah.
And then them being nah, this isn't gonna work. And you're just like, are you kidding me? It's Will Ferrell. It's Will fucking Ferrell. But they always got to start somewhere. Like,
then Old School came out. They were like, yeah, we'll have Will.
Yeah. For this kids movie, like the guy who went streaking.
It's my pleasure having you on, Clayton.
Thank you.
Not Tim. We'll do another one of these crossovers again down the road.
Yes, please. We'll have to have you on. We'll have to find a bad movie to get you to watch.
I'm down, man. I just like you guys. I love bad films. Fred Claus was fun. It was fun watching the movie from your point of view. But I just want to get back to just enjoying films. You know, the thinking and like asking why when you're watching a film is probably the worst thing you could do in your life. But
it really is. Thanks
for being on. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, man.
You're welcome to be on. Again, we'll do something else. We'll do another one.
We got to get the Ricks together.
Got to get the Ricks together. The Rick power should unite somehow. I know you hated Fred Claus so badly. You don't want to be on this one, but maybe we'll get if Moulin Rouge does pop up on the Finder, I'm stating it now. Me and Marie Leguizamo will be on that episode. So I'll get Marie to. She's the EP on Last One Laughing, the Amazon Prime show, Last One Laughing. And she also did a Spanish show called Mira Quien Baila, which is like Dancing with the Stars.
Okay, yeah.
So she does a lot of like shows, but she's never seen that film. So if that pops up, just let me know.
I will, definitely.
Never seen it. Next week, we'll do an episode on small businesses. God knows they need our help at this point in time. Is there a small business in Buffalo you order from or you support?
When it was still open for the now, but like a good bar, Mr. Good Bar in Buffalo has always been in my heart. That's where I started doing comedy, and they always show me love. Just any like basically like bars and food places that are still open. Like there's a place called 40 Thieves, not that far. Like they make like amazing burgers and stuff. But yeah, like please, if you can, support people around here, support food places,
mom and pop shops. Yeah,
mom and pop shops. You don't need to do like, you don't have to go on Instacart. You live around the corner from here. It's different. Like when I was still in the city, it was different. But like you live around the corner, you know you can just walk and get something. Like support these people. Put that money in their pockets because they're taking care of you.
And just keep those communities alive. For us, is the Monkey Room. We filmed. This is our 85th episode. We filmed. We're gonna say about 30% of the show in the Monkey Room. I've spent 36 going to 37 now. I've been going since I was 17. Yeah, so bar was only a bar, but it's great places like home. It's like my Cheers. Everybody knows my name there. I know the owner personally. Grubhub, whatever it is, or they sell food, support these places because it's been bad on us. It's been bad for employment, but these small businesses, man, it's been terrible on them because these people depend on those businesses to put food on their table, pay their rent.
Yep.
So our next week's episode is on small businesses. Clayton, let me know, man. Give me the bat symbol. Jen is.
I will. We'll find something good, and we'll be like, "Yo, you need to get on this."